ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining the professor, the channel that brings you the kind of information that you can use. As I promised you before, that in the next few weeks and months, I'm going to bring different expert people who can talk about issues, provide you with information that you can use in your daily life when you go about your business. So as I promised before, today I have a good friend of mine, a former client of mine. When I practiced law, I was his lawyer. And he's also someone with tremendous knowledge in the industry. I'm talking about financing, money manager, and investment. His name is Mike. Mike has been a licensed stockbroker since 1999. He has served in different capacity in the industry, and he has also served as a money manager. So if anybody knows what you need, the requirements to be a money manager, if anybody knows anything about investment, it is this guy. And we're gonna have a conversation today about money management, about financial advisors, about what you need, what are the requirements, and basically information for you. So Mike, I thank you so much for joining the professor. I hope I've done you justice in introducing you, but I also have to add that you have a BA in business law and considering going to law school. So from me to you, I think you'd be an amazing lawyer, very articulate, very, very intelligent. You'd be a better lawyer than I have ever been. So that's my confidence in you.
Thank you, thank you. Now, to be in full disclosure, I'm still finishing the prereqs with business law to then go on to do the MS in legal studies. So I didn't want to yet pass on that I've passed so I'm still doing those those courses. But yes, I'm doing business law and securities law to then go on to do an MS in legal studies in law school.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I need you to speak closer to your microphone, Mike, so I can hear you very well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you there. Yes.
Okay.
All right, so let's have this conversation, Mike. Okay, you obviously a stockbroker. You had a license. You have a license. You know the industry. So I want to have a conversation with you because I want my viewers to understand the requirement to be a money manager, to be a financial advisor. What do you need? What are the requirements? So let me put this fact pattern to you because I'm a lawyer, so I always like to deal with facts, right? Suppose you wanted to raise. Let's take me, for example. Suppose I wanted to go out and raise $20 million from the Haitian community in order to invest. So let's say I go to my friends, my family members, say, hey, I don't want you guys to give me your money. I'm going to invest it for you, and I'm going to give you a profit. Now, what would I need in order to do this legally? So talk to me about what do you need to be a money manager?
I was going to raise $50 million from people. I would want to be licensed. And I probably want to put together some documentation that I could then present to them and also register this documentation also with the government.
But when you said license, what are we talking about? What kind of license? I mean, is there an agency that people go to? What are the educational requirements? Is there a certain requirement that you have to have?
Okay, sure. Now, first of all, just to get licensed is an animal in itself. So for example, when I got licensed, I had to be hired by a firm. So a firm has to hire you to then sponsor you to get the license. So first you got to get employed by a firm.
Second, are you talking about, when you say the firm, are you talking about an investment firm? This is not a law firm. You're talking about...
No, this is not a law firm. This is a broker-dealer, a brokerage firm.
Oh, okay, brokerage firm.
So a brokerage firm has to hire you. You have to be an employee of that firm. So first you get hired. Then they agree to sponsor you for a license. So most licenses require the firm to sponsor you. So which means that they now put the application in on your behalf. Now, to get sponsored, you're going to have to first go through a background check. So what I had to do is fill out a U4. Back in '99, when I got licensed, this was all done manually. Like I had to write this out. Today, the company does this. You can do it all online. But I had to submit about 10 years of employment history that had to be verified. Then, when you do all of that, now you have to go get fingerprinted. And now they're going to do an FBI background check. Then, when you do all of that, they want to check your finances and check your credit to make sure that, for example, a guy who's in trouble, who owes a lot of money, judgments, liens, he might have a conflict of interest because now he might manage the people's money incorrectly to make money for himself to pay off his bills.
Right.
So they want to make sure that your financial picture is in order. And then finally, here comes the hard part. If all of that wasn't difficult enough, now you have to pass the exam, which for me, I had the Series 7 license. That was after your law degree. I think that was the toughest exam they had in the country. You had to sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours, and answer 250 questions. You had to have a 70 or better to pass. And very tricky questions because the whole thing is to try and trick you. So they're trying to see that A, you have a clean record, B, you're employed, and then C, that you're smart enough to pass an exam. And with all of that, now you become licensed with the Series 7 license.
So this is for a Series 7, right?
Yes.
And with that Series 7, that would allow you to work as a financial advisor, as a money manager.
Yes. Now, to be clear, there are other licenses that can let you do similar activities, but the 7 allows you to do pretty much the whole complete show. So, right. For example, the guys who manage hedge funds for the billionaires, the wealthy people, they have maybe a 65 license. That's a RIA, Registered Investment Advisor license. So they can manage money for clients. They can do some things, and they just show that they're smart enough to take fiduciary responsibility, to be a good agent for people's money and act on their behalf instead of acting for themselves. But they can't really be a stockbroker or anything like that. They can just be an advisor and charge a fee for managing the client capital. So that's another license that's possible. It's an easier process, but still same thing. We have to check the background. We have to make sure that their financial picture is okay, that they're not a criminal, and then they have to still pass the licensing exam as well.
Now, let me ask you a question. Somebody, for example, let's say who filed for bankruptcy, or maybe who had bad credit, would that person be able to get a Series 7 license?
Okay. It depends when they did that. So, for example, if they had filed before they got licensed, or before they attempted to get licensed, it wouldn't happen. It would not happen.
So in other words, they wouldn't get a license. They wouldn't get the license if they had filed for bankruptcy, let's say in the last 3 years before they attempted to get a license.
Highly, I mean, anything's possible, but more than likely it would be a difficult sell because again, they're trying to check. They want to make sure that you have no conflicts of interest. It's like, right. I'll give you an example. Recently, my name got attached to a property. And I was controlling the property. My name was attached to it, but then we had issues with the tenants involved and so forth, and the property was risking going into foreclosure.
Right.
See, I knew I had to save that situation because now, if ever I wanted to because this would impact, for example, going to law school, because I got to do a background check.
Yes,
this
of course.
would impact me if I was going to, for example, go for other licensing.
Right.
So I knew because if I fill out that U4 and they ask me my financial situation, they're going to do a background check. I'm going to have to disclose that situation if it went into a foreclosure or whatever situation.
Right.
So I knew that would impact my chances to get a license. So I made sure to resolve that issue, no matter what. Because right. I know so things like foreclosures, bankruptcies, liens, judgments, it just makes it very difficult to get the license because now you look suspicious to a firm. They're not wanting to sponsor you. These are the reasons why they check your credit. They check your situation.
Yeah, but you kind of, listen, Matt, it kind of makes sense because if a guy comes to me and he wants to manage my money, right? I would want to know that this guy is able to manage his own money. If you can't manage your money and you've got bad credit, and this is not to say people with bad credit are bad people. That's not what I'm saying, because right. There's different reasons why people have bad credit. But if we are talking about money management, we're talking about being a financial advisor or taking people's money to manage it, then you have to show proof that somehow you manage your own money. I guess that's kind of the logic behind it, right?
No, but listen, to be fair though, you have some people who in their past, they had some situations, it didn't work out, or things went wrong, or they went through a divorce, or they had some situation where now their finances were impacted.
Right.
So that doesn't, so what would happen is I would then say, if I were a guy, if I wanted to raise from our community that amount of money, I'd now try and set up situations where it wasn't necessary for me to be licensed, but now I need to have like the best lawyers that I'm standing by to make sure everything's okay. I need to have an auditing firm to now verify what's happening and so forth so that people feel comfortable. And I try and do trade situations where I am exempt, as they say, where I don't need a license, even though it would be best for me to have a license. But the whole point of a license is to show the public that this guy is smart, that this guy is is not in financial ruin, that he's knowledgeable, that he's experienced, he can pass an exam. And now even though we don't have to agree with whatever he's doing with the money, but we know who he is. We've given him a license, and now he can proceed and move forward.
Okay, that's
and now
really
this
good.
gives the government some type of comfortability.
Now, let me ask you this, Mike. You and I had a prior conversations where we were talking about accredited investors and unaccredited investors. Now, right. Certainly, you made it very clear that if you're going to raise that much money from that many people, then it would be better for you to have that license to protect you, certainly, against other issues. Now, what is an accredited investor? What does that mean to be an accredited investor? Can you define that for me?
Okay. So according to the government, I think it's the SEC, they come out with the guidelines, and it's steadily changing and increasing as with inflation. But I think the three criteria that you need to be considered an accredited investor, according to the government, number one, you have to have an income of $250,000 a year. Or if you're single, and I think if you're married, $350,000 a year, joint between you and your spouse. That's number one. Number two, you have to have a net worth of at least $1 million. And that doesn't include your primary residence. So for example, if I make $250,000 a year and I'm worth $1 million, but $500,000 of that is my house where I live with my family, that doesn't count. But if it's a second house, fine, that can count. So I have to have a net worth, number two, of $1 million. And then number three, I have to be able to show or demonstrate that I've either lived this type of a lifestyle with that kind of income level for the last 3 years, or that it's expected that over the next 2 years, I'll be able to maintain that same level of lifestyle. Okay. See, then that puts me in the position of an accredited investor. And now the government really doesn't care if I lose my money. They figure I'm sophisticated enough to make my own decisions and investments. So they don't, they'll let me put my money in anything I want.
So in other words, if somebody, let's say someone who's a nurse, for example, right? Who's earning, I don't know, maybe $80,000 a year, they have a family, and these people, or at least the category of these people, so to speak, are not accredited investors. The government doesn't look at them as sophisticated people with a lot of money, that if they lose, let's say if they lost, $100,000, that wouldn't affect them. So that's the difference between these people and someone with a net worth of $1 million who can afford to lose 100,000, even though it's a lot of money. That's the difference. So if I am an accredited investor, as you said, can I then give my money to an unlicensed person to invest on my behalf?
Sure. The government now again, let me be very clear. The government sets the rules, but we all know, especially among our people, sometimes the government just makes a rule, but sometimes for me, it doesn't make sense. So they say you're smart enough to know what you're doing. You got a lot of guys.
But if you are an accredited investor, in other words, you just explain what an accredited investor is. So if you are that person, you have $1 million, you're making $250,000 if you're single, $350,000 if you're married, the government consider you someone who's got enough money, who can afford to lose $50,000, right? That's not going to affect you too badly.
Not just enough money, but they assume They assume, counselor, that you're smart enough because you've achieved that level of net worth,
Right.
that you know what you're doing with money. That's the point that is why they have that rule. Because I was just about to tell you, there are a lot of guys. Maybe there might be a guy whose family came into some money or they won the lottery, and technically they could say they're an accredited investor, but the reality is that's not really an investor. He's just lucky enough to win the lottery. So there are people who have who fit these profiles, but they're not smart enough to know what they're doing. But the government deems most people who fit those three criteria, to be sophisticated and smart enough to know. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're called an accredited investor.
Okay. So what does the government call an unaccredited investor? It's just everybody else who's not fitting.
Right. Well, everybody who makes less and doesn't fit that criteria, because it doesn't stop, just to give you a fun fact, it doesn't stop with an accredited investor. For example, if you make 5 million if you have a net worth of 5 million and you are, and you've been living that lifestyle for a certain number of years, now you're a qualified investor. So it doesn't stop there at accredited investor.
Okay.
That's just a baseline to say, okay, most people fall underneath that, but you have levels even higher than that. And what happens is, why this is important for us is because there are certain investments the government deems that unless you're an accredited investor or higher, you can invest into. Otherwise, they don't allow regular common people to get involved.
So I couldn't just go around and start collecting money and promise a return on it every week. And most of the people, or probably some of the people that I would get, I would say most of the people would be unaccredited investors, people who actually don't have the money or the sophistication to understand the dynamics of the market.
Okay. What I'll say is, yes, you're correct, but counsel, let me be very clear. We come from a very smart, enterprising people. And a lot of our people feel, and myself included, that it isn't fair sometimes that there are opportunities available to certain people and that we don't have access to, even if you have smart people. So that's why you have to be smart, but there are ways around that that maybe we could talk about another time, where now, if you have a smart guy in our community, and he wants to now improve the situation and go around raising capital, as long as he does it right and complies with the law, he should be able to still raise money and put them in situations where they can earn returns similar to what accredited investors and high net worth people can get into. But generally speaking, no, a guy who's running around trying to raise money, I wouldn't recommend it.
Right. But still, I mean, as you just explained, to make sure that you avoid the pitfalls, it would make sense to get licenses to make sure that you follow the rule as set by the federal government. Because, let's be very honest here, okay? If you're a Black guy from Haiti, and I'm from Haiti, I don't know if you were born in Haiti. I was born in Haiti. I came here when
My parents are Haitian, right?
Okay, your parents are Haitian, but you were born in the US. So we still feel like that kindred spirit.
Right.
So in other words, if you got a guy going around raising hundreds of millions of dollars, you're going to raise eyebrows. That's what I'm thinking. If I was doing it, people would be, oh, wait a second, what's going on here? And I think that at time, when we try to do something in the community, we are always suspect first. In other words, we don't get the benefit of that right away. So in other words, people have to examine, re-examine, and look at underneath to see exactly what we're doing. They just assume that we're doing something wrong as opposed to assuming that we're doing something right. So in order to avoid that, right, what I hear you say is that it's always better to just follow the rule to the T, because we don't get a pass. When we violate the rule, they don't say, oh, well, he made a mistake, or maybe he didn't know. That's not what people are talking about. They're thinking that, hey, you intended to do something bad. So that's a good thing. Now
listen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
No, listen. I'm all for our community making as much money as possible. It is my dream to see the Haitian community be equal to, like, say, for example, the Jews. Like, especially, you were here in New York as well, where it's a small group, but they're close, they're knit, and they combine their resources together, bring their money together, and now they manage it properly, and they build their communities, they build their families, they send money back home. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. Unfortunately, and I've seen this before, when I got licensed in '99, I was the only Black at my firm, the only Black. Well, let me take that back. There was one other guy, but I was the first they ever hired. That Black guy that they had at my firm, my company bought his company, so they inherited him.
Okay.
I was the first time they hired a Black guy to help manage money and the company had been around for already 30 years. So I get it. I want to see our people thrive, and I see it in our community. And when I was at that firm, that's why I'm bringing this up. There was a Black guy by the name of Joe Jett. He was at a firm. He was making them a lot of money until it turned out he was doing some things differently. And then the minute this was discovered, now everybody turned all the problems on the firm on him. So I know that there are people out there who, if you're Black, or if you are trying to raise money, they're suspicious of you. You know what I mean? So, which is why, as I told you in the past, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And you got to make sure you always cover all your bases, which is why I say, get a license. You don't have to, but I say, get a license. Now the government can't say, oh, well, you didn't pass a background check. Well, how'd I get licensed if I didn't pass a background check?
That's correct.
Oh, they can't say, well, his financial position is bad. Well, more than likely, I checked my credit. I would have seen that my financial position's okay. So that now, when I'm registered with a license and it's verified online, now people have more confidence. They can't come after me later and say, oh, well. Now, of course, I still have to follow rules while I'm licensed as well. But to just, again, being a Black in the industry, make sure you comply even more.
Well, I mean, of
even
course,
like go above and beyond everybody else.
Michael, I mean, you are so right. I think that, I don't think we're saying anything that our community doesn't know or any other person, minority doesn't know. The fact of the matter is that if you're a minority, whether whether you're Black from Haiti or African American, you always looked upon somewhat suspect until you could prove that you're not. Whereas a white man could get away with certain thing, we're never going to get away with it. So because of that, I think what you're saying is stay on the right side. Don't act like you're going to get a pass. That's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right. Get the proper
license. I say get the proper licenses. For example, if I'm going to raise money from the Haitian community, again, like I said, I want to be clear because I know you're a lawyer and I know securities law. It's not necessary that I have a license depending on what I'm doing, but I would do it myself. I'd get a license. I'd make sure I comply so that now, if anything happens and I have a legal team with me, I'm protected, I'm covered. I've complied with the laws. I have a compliance group with me so that they make sure, okay, Michael, before you do that, this is how we recommend. And then for me, for my protection, I'd also say, okay, put that to me in writing, counselor. Put that to me in writing so that now if the government, I can say, no, look, I got the document from my compliance people. They said this was fine. You know what I mean? At least it gives me some type of, safety net. Exactly.
Now, you've mentioned this, but let me put this into perspective for my viewers. So let's say tomorrow you got up and you said, you know what, I want to go around and raise money in the Haitian community, let's say to have a real estate fund, for example, a fund where you can invest in real estate. And that's what you want to do. You call me, you call some of the friends, you say, hey, Manny, listen, I'm doing this real estate fund. I don't know exactly how much return, but usually it's between 13 and 27% that you can get, but I want you doing this. Now, and I asked you, I said, well, how much money you want to raise? You said, I want to raise $75 million, okay? Now, what are the questions I should ask you? Tell me, I mean, you're the expert here, so I'm asking you, what question I should ask you? or what would you provide to me to give me confidence that not only you know what you're doing, but you're on the right side of the law?
Okay. I would ask a guy who came to me looking for money. I'd ask him, number one, do you have like a prospectus, like a business plan?
Right.
Do you, put something together in writing, in a PDF that you can email to me or email to clients? If it were me and I were going around raising money, I'd spend $5,000, whatever. I'd find a securities lawyer. Remember, I told you I passed securities law.
Right.
I would find a securities lawyer, and I'd have him write for me an offering memorandum, an OM.
Right.
So that now it's a detailed analysis of what I'm looking to do with the money. Mm-hmm. Included in that document would be who am I, and also what licensing I have. Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, here's this link here, so you can verify that I have this license. Mm-hmm. Just a side note for a moment. The other day, I introduced you to a friend of mine to give you perspective on another matter happening.
Right.
And him and I were discussing money management. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to take you to a few websites. We were both talking on the phone. I'm going to take you to a few websites, and I'm going to show you the websites for these hedge funds that are managing a lot of money. I took him to one website, company that I like, that managed $300 million. I took him to another website, they're managing $15 billion. Mm-hmm. Big money. I said, listen, on that website, click on this guy's photo. He was one of the partners, one of the money managers. At the bottom of it, it lists his resume. Mm-hmm. And I told him, because he's Haitian, I said, listen, we shouldn't believe anything anybody says. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
Just
Absolutely.
always be scared. I said, a lot of times I see with our people, we just believe anybody. Oh, my friend told me that. My dad says that all the time. My friend told me this, and I'm like, Dad, well, did you verify? But the guy said, now he's managing a $15 billion hedge fund. He said he had a Series 7 license. Mm-hmm. But then at the bottom, there's a link that he gives you access to that you can click onto that will take you to the government's website.
Where you can verify.
Where now you can see, because when you have a license, it's not like a driver's license that you could just carry around in your wallet. It's a registration that's public.
Some people think it's a driver's license you could carry on and you could say, hey, here's my license. But it's nothing like that. It's like a diploma. You put it on your wall behind you, like I have things behind me.
It's not even that. It's not even that. Listen, no, I'll tell you. When I passed my licensing in December 14th, never forgot, December 14th, 1999. Mm-hmm. And that's another story of how they tried to use, you know what I mean, against our people, but I passed, I got it. First time I passed the license. They gave me a piece of paper that listed all these codes, and then it listed my score, right? And then it had a seal for the government agency. At the time, it was the NASD. Now it's FINRA.
Mm-hmm. It's FINRA, right?
Because FINRA. NASD merged with CTC, and they merged and became FINRA. Mm-hmm. I think that was in 06 or something like that. But anyway, so at the time, it was the NASD. So that's what I had, and I would carry around in my pocket. But all that proved was that I passed the exam. It's not a licensing where you have it in your wallet. It's something that now you could go online
and check
and type in a name or type in because everyone who's licensed has a CRD number. I don't know what CRD stands for, but it's pretty much your serial number that is attached to your license. So you can look them up. You can see who they are. You will see if they have what's called disclosure events. Disclosure events is anything bad. So you want a guy who has zero disclosures. So in other words, if he was sued by a client, if he was in trouble for disciplinary actions or something like that, those all become disclosure events. So that's what I did coming back. I told the guy, I said, listen, we just can't as Haitian people accept that this guy said he has a license. This guy managing $15 billion, by the way. Mm-hmm. I said, he gives you the link. I said, listen, let's press this link. We pressed the link, both of us. He's on his phone. I'm on we're talking over the phone. Right. And he's able to see now that, okay, not only is this guy licensed, when he got licensed, what firm his license is currently with, Any disclosure events that he has, it's a very detailed profile picture of who this guy is. You see what I'm saying? So again, I know we're moving around pretty quickly here. If I were going to raise money, I'd want to have a license. I'd want to have a document, an operating, an offering memorandum that lists who I am. And now I tell that guy, give me that, or give me some business plan. So now I have some understanding as to what you're doing with the money. That's the first thing I would ask.
So besides the license, you would have a business plan detailing to people, hey, I want $75 million. This is the plan. This is the perspective. This is how much you have to, you may earn back. Now, let me ask you a question.
I wouldn't actually list that, by the way. Sorry for I wouldn't list that either. I wouldn't list that either because, okay. And listen, I told you this before, and I want anyone listening to this to do this. Assume that Michael here is lying, that I don't know what I'm talking about. Go now and Google everything I say and check it for yourself. So what I'd want to see with someone is that they don't promise me anything. And again, I'm not knocking someone who does, but here's why. The government, for some reason, I don't understand why, it's crazy to me, they don't like guarantee. They don't like you saying the word guarantee. They don't. I don't know why. If, for example, you told me that Michael Jordan is going to make a shot, and it's like 2 feet away from a basket, more than likely, I'm going to say to myself, it's a guarantee he's going to make that. That's a 99.9999. But still, with the government, they don't like that. I don't know why.
But Michael, let me ask you this question, Michael. So, you know a lot more about the market. You've been a stockbroker. You have a Series 7 license. So you, as far as I'm concerned, you're an expert on this. Now, I have invested money before with an investment firm, and I know that one of the things they always say is, "This is what we've done last year or the year before or 2 years prior." We cannot guarantee you that you will get the same return, but all things being equal, last year we made 27% on our investment. It is possible that we could make that, but it's not guaranteed. And I have to sign somewhere, agree that they have actually said to me that they cannot guarantee my return, because you never know. So why would anyone guarantee any return whatsoever? Why would you do that? Like, if you were collecting money from the Haitian community and you were investing, would you ever guarantee a specific return? Like, would you ever say, I'll give you 20%? That's what you get?
Here's what I would do. Again, this is what I would do. And first, let me preface by saying, I'm not here to bash anybody who's done this, who's done opposite or contrary to what I would do. I'm just saying to protect myself. There's a term in investment called best efforts basis. What that means is, for example, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, the big firms, if they take you public on an IPO, they know, for example, if it was Facebook or Netflix, and it's about to go public, they know it's going to make a huge, tremendous profit. They're still going to put in their documents to the clients and to the investors that we're going to do our best to make whatever. Their lawyers will never let them guarantee that. You understand what I'm saying? Even though, let's be honest, if all our Haitian people could have bought Amazon when it first went public, we know it was going to be, if all of our people was going to get into Facebook, something like that.
Tesla. Tesla is a big one,
Yeah, but the government doesn't like that. The only time I see the word guarantee is if it's like a CD. You know what I mean?
Well,
Something like maybe you might see a bank say this is because, you know what I mean? Okay. But as far as that, what I would say is I'm going to do a best efforts basis, even though I know for a fact that I can do this. Because for example, the other day I spoke with a guy. He's in Europe and he manages money trading Forex. He tells me his minimum average is something like 20% per month. I said, and I asked him, I said, so when have you lost? He said he hasn't lost. He hasn't had a losing month. And he provided records of this since 2015. And so in 7 years, he's just continually, and he showed, and he had a third-party company to verify his results, like an auditing firm.
Right.
So you see that he's made 50% 1 month, you know what I mean? So they made 50% in 2015 on 1 month, and then they made 14%. They lost 14% the next month. But then thereafter, he just made 15, 20, like whatever percent. And still then, 7 years later, he's like, but I can't guarantee anything.
So in other words, let me go over what you were saying here so that my viewers can understand. You're saying that there is a guy who obviously investing money in foreign exchange.
Right,
and
correct.
for a good 7 years, he's made an average of 20% for 7 years straight.
No. Let me be clear. 20 to 50% on average per month.
Right.
Which was like, wow, that's way better than the S&P 500. That's way better than the stock. Okay.
Of course.
So yeah,
but he's done that from 2015 to now to 2022, right?
Right.
Now, a guy like that, though, most people would say, well, he can probably guarantee a 10% return a month on my money because he's made an average of 20. But if he did do that, that would be wrong, right? Because you can't guarantee anything.
Okay, now here's the difference, though. The Series 7 only regulates stocks, bonds, mutual funds, you know what I mean? The securities. Forex is a different market. It's not regulated by the, in fact, you don't need a license to trade that at all.
On Forex, on foreign exchange?
In Forex, yes.
Okay.
For trade Forex and to trade crypto, you don't need a license. You don't need licensing for that at all. So that's another thing I want to let our viewers know. So if I was taking the money and I was investing in Forex or crypto, it's good that I had a license so that you know my background, but it's not, I don't need, because there's no licensing for that. So maybe now I would get the 65 because I'm managing a pool of investors' money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now I'd get the 65 because now I'm bringing all the money together. Now this guy, he's smart. He does not pool all the investors' money together. He has a computer program that trades. You open up your account in your own name in a firm he tells you to trade. His computer, when it does a trade in his account, does the same trade in your account. And then he charges you a fee.
But in other words, it's your account. He doesn't take the money from you, though.
No.
He doesn't take
it and right.
So in other words, he provides you with the platform and he says, go open your account, put your money in the account. And then when I do a trade in my account, the system will do the same trade for you too.
Right, because he has a computer program and he has an arrangement with the firm. So that, for example, that's why I said, if I were doing it, I'd get a license. But if I'm trading something like this, I don't need the license. But what he has a computer program. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not here to like market his services. I'm just giving you the difference. So his program links his account to your account. So when he trades and does trades in his account, your account does the same exact kind of trades proportionally. Like if he has $100,000, you only have 1,000, and he trades 10% of his money, it's only going to trade 10% of your money. You see, so it mirrors.
Yeah. It trades $100, yeah.
Right. Now you have full transparency to log into your account and see what's going on in your account.
In other words, the guy is not telling you that he earned a certain interest. You are able to go to your account, which you control, and be able to see what the return is. If you lost some money, you'll be able to see it. If you want, if you want some money, if you made a profit, you'll be able to see it.
Right. So now there's, so you see, like I said, that's why I said I didn't want to make it too complicated. He doesn't need a license because he's not pooling all the people's money into one big account.
Of course not. He's not doing that.
I know. Right now, I have a guy in Orlando, Jacques, right? Haitian Jacques.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Orlando. He did not go to school. Came up here from Haiti with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Orlando. He was a security guard. Didn't go to college. He learned to trade Forex. He got very good. And then he opened up classes and taught people how to trade. And then someone came to him with the idea, well, why don't you trade people's money? But he's like, well, but I don't want to get a license. And they were like, no, we can. He hired a lawyer, put together an offering. He said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the same thing that this guy in Europe is doing. I'm going to open up my account here. I'm going to deposit, Haitian guy, I'm going to deposit my money here. You're going to open up your account at these firms here. Our computer program is going to now do the same thing. When we do a trade, you do a trade. I've seen this guy return money like you. I'm not even going to say like what I've seen him do in 3 days, right? But here's what happened. The same way he turned a little bit of money into a lot of money in 3 days, a few months later, he had months where he lost some money. Not, but still, in 3 months, I'd still be happy with what he did with my money.
Right.
But both guys are still saying, I'm not guaranteeing anything.
Of course.
All you know is that if you lose, it's because I lost too. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course. So we both lose. Yeah.
We both lost. But, so it's not like one guy got rich and I got rich managing
but
your money.
I think that with that process, Michael, I think it's important because if I don't have access to your money, in other words, you open your account in a firm that I told you, let's say I say go to, go to Merrill Lynch, for example, or open a trading account. So you go to Merrill Lynch, open a trading account, which connect to my system. So when I trade my money, which is in Merrill Lynch, right? And then the system automatically trade and not whatever the percentage that I trade, the system trades. So you can put whatever money you want. I don't have access to your money. You don't give me the money. My company has nothing to do. Now let me ask you, how does this guy, how does he make money for himself? Does he charge you a fee?
This is how it works. Yes, this is what he does. So, because remember, this is all done with computers. That's what I'm saying. Our people need to see that there are levels of sophistications now with artificial intelligence, AI, with computers that now handle everything like that.
Right.
So what he does is, both guys, what they'll do is at the end of 30 days, the computer looks into your account and sees what your account made. So for example, if you had $1,000 in the account, and in 30 days, he got it up to say another $200, right? Now, what's going to happen is in 30 days, you're going to get an email or an invoice from his platform saying, verify and confirm, we made you this amount of money into your account. Now you have 5 days to pay us a percentage of the profit we made you.
Right. Whatever that percentage, but this is something that there has to be a prior agreement between between the two of them.
Yeah. So one guy, like for example, the guy who's for 7 years only had one losing month, he charges 40% of your profit.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, but guess what? He's averaging 20, 50% per month.
Right.
That's why but now that's a lot. But listen, what is the bank giving you for the year?
Well, that's true. That's very true. So you don't wanna get too greedy. But I think that's let
me finish. So let's say he charges, I charge now, that's him. That's a bit low. But let's say a guy says, I'm only going to charge you 10% of the profit I made you. So now you have to answer the question thoroughly. Now you have 5 days to withdraw from the $200, say $20, and transfer it to him. Now that's one way. Now some firms allow that when they send you the invoice, if you agree, you click a button and now the firm will deduct that 10% fee from your account and transfer it to his account.
Right.
Right. Like the other guy, I think, Jacques, I think he's like think he charges 20%. So again, whatever you agree to, you had to have known in advance what the guy was going to charge you as a percentage of your of the return. And now, whether his firm takes it directly from you or you withdraw the money and send it to him, that's an arrangement between you. And that's what's in it for that trader. But either way, the people are protected because they have their money in their account and they see that they can see for themselves, did I make a profit or did I lose? Now, if you lose, he can't charge you a fee until he gets you back to where you were before the loss and now a profit above that. So again, you don't need a licensing for that. You just have to have computer sophistication and to have the proper mechanism in place.
Well, to me, Michael, that sounds like a very clean, hands-off way to do things, because that way you're not taking a whole bunch of money into your account. Then, you know, you don't have people saying that you're using that money for your own personal thing because you don't have access to the money. You simply allow people the opportunity to trade based on your own trading, which are done separately. I mean, whenever I do a trading, you do the same trading. I make money, you make money, except that you got to pay me something at the end of the month. I mean,
if I make it,
go ahead.
No, that's very clear. And I want to be, then this is why, see, again, I didn't forget what your question was. Your question was, what if someone came to me and asked me for money, what would I do? So what I'd say is, okay, show me a presentation of what you're doing. But sometimes a guy says, like, for instance, these guys, they're not going to give you their computer program for you to see. You know what I mean? Because this is a trade secret from them, right? So a lot of times a guy says, I have a trading situation. That's fine. And I understand and respect any guy who says, I'm not going to let you see that, because you got a lot of guys who, once they get your trading secret or platform, they can now hire a guy in India to mimic and copy that for like $400. And now you don't need this guy anymore. Yeah, now you don't need this. So I understand and applaud.
But wait, Michael, let me ask you this question. Wait a second. Let's back up a little bit, okay? Wait a second. Now, if you come to me and you say, now I know you, that's going to be a different story, but I think I would want to see what are you talking about. If you said you have a trade secret or you have some kind of way of making money, you don't have to like really give me, you know, everything, but at least you got to kind of let me know how the system works, right? I mean, then I'll be...
Not necessarily. Remember, that's a trade secret, because here's the thing, like I said, it is, listen, I could find guys in Nigeria and in Pakistan and in India. The minute I get your software, like the guy who I told you about who charges 40%, he's an IT guy. You know what I mean? There's guys who have computer engineering degrees who can put together algorithms. I have a guy in Washington State. That's what he did. He traded my money, my Forex money, with his algorithm. So all these guys are IT and computer engineering guys. They're smart people. You know what I mean? They can put together a program, but with hackers, remember that program they put together software. A hacker can come and copy that code and copy that. Or if I have even a portion of it, I pay this guy $400. He can pretty much put together something close or similar to that. So I don't mind a guy saying, I will never show you my secret. So what I would then say is, fine, do what this guy did. Show me a history, like 3-4 years of history of what you've done. So that guy, like I said, he sent to me proof that for 7 years, each month he made a certain amount of money. You know what I mean? And he only lost that 1 month in 2015. So, and again, it has to not just come from him, it has to come from like an auditing firm and auditors who he hires, who will now put their reputation on the line and say, we verified that this is what he did.
The document. So in other words, you don't want to...
So now for me, I don't need to see his... Right, now I don't need to see his computer software because I'm seeing results here in real time.
Yeah, but not only that, he also show you the 1 month that he lost money. And you could actually see that there was a loss, even though it was just 1 month, but there was a loss. But let me ask you...
But notice what he did do. He didn't guarantee me...
Well, he never guaranteed anything. He just said, hey, here's what I'm doing. You can do it too. And you can make money, but you can also lose money. So I'm not guaranteeing anything. But let me ask you this question, right? Suppose I was, you know, when you trade somebody's money, right? Let's say you were trading my money. Now, I know you talk about not needing a license if you are taking people's money and invested in foreign exchange and also invested in crypto, that you don't need a license for that, okay? But
Right.
if I were to take, let's say, $50 million from 100 people, and I lost 10 million of it, I mean, wouldn't I have a duty to tell these people, hey, I lost $10 million of your money?
Okay. Am I licensed or not?
Well, you're not licensed. Let's say you're not licensed.
Okay. First off, you always have to be honest. You always have to be honest because things come out. The truth always comes out.
Of course.
So, of course, I'd want to disclose that. But again, the point I'm making is I would never be in the position to have to disclose that because I would have hired a secondary firm who in real time would have been able to let the people see even before I say anything if there was a loss. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. So the investor would have been informed that there was a loss.
Right. So which is why for me, if I were trading now, because in your question, I remember you asked if I'm doing a real estate fund. See, that's different. There's no way to track real estate the way you can track stocks, bonds and things like that.
Right.
Those are electronic securities. While real estate is something physical and tangible. But if I were trading something like stocks, cryptocurrencies, things like that, of course, I would now have it set up so that there's a firm behind me that they can log on themselves and see for themselves. Or I do what these guys are doing and have them each open up individual accounts so they can see for themselves. So that now I don't have to say anything. You can see it in real time, 24/7, what's being done. When I pull the money together and you can't see it in real time is now if I'm doing real estate, because there's no way for me to, everybody opens up an account in their own brokerage firm and we're going to invest in real estate. That doesn't work. But I need everybody's money together so that we can buy the house together, fix it together. You know what I mean? Fix it, flip it, do whatever, and things like that. So that way, then that scenario, like I said, I want to be licensed. I want to do an offering memorandum to the client so they can see what I'm doing. I want them to see a track record of what I've done in the past. And now I want to give them like assurances just to see where we are and give them a best efforts basis, things like that. So they know potentially what I'm expecting to do and what not to do. And I also want to give them a situation where I can only make money if they make money.
Okay. Well, which is a good thing because if you're losing money, you're not throwing good money after bad money. You already lost.
Right.
So there's no need to pay somebody to do that. Well, Michael, you've been very, very instructive, very informative to my viewers. I'm sure that many Haitian American would appreciate your knowledge and sharing your knowledge with my viewers. It's very important because people, at least from my community, I know people work very, very hard for their money. Some people have 2-3 jobs, don't see their family, they work really hard. So I hate to see people either lose their money or invest their money in something that they knew they were going to lose. So
can I say something?
Sure.
Can I say something? Because I know we're wrapping up. I just want to say 2 things really quickly. And I'm speaking to your audience here. It is not my intention here at all to slam or attack anybody. Because let's be clear. We know what's happened in the recently with our brother. He's a good friend of a friend of mine. He's been a mentor to a friend of mine. So I respect him implicitly. My family knows him. They love him. So I don't nearly want to in any way disparage him at all. I'm very proud that he attempted to do so. You understand what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
I'm very proud that we have in our community people who are trying to put it together for our people and make it happen. I'm hoping that now we can get 50 guys to now, hopefully maybe using some of the advice that I mentioned, to now come together and say, okay, you know what? We don't want to end up in the same situation as this scenario here. So let's do it let's do it this way here, like Brother Mike said, you know what I mean? I'm happy that there was an attempt to have our community come together. When I found out what happened, I told my friend who I had you speak to,
Right.
who vouched for him and for his credibility. I said, listen, I'm proud of you and I'm proud of our people, because a lot of people, they just sit on their hands, they just work 40 hours a week and they think, okay, what are the chances we can make money and so forth. At least I saw here that there was an attempt. So that's the first thing I want to say. I don't want to never attack. I have a rule. I don't attack at 7 Adventist people and I don't attack Haitian people, even if they did something wrong. I just don't do it. So I don't want the viewers. Listen, I don't nearly listen. If I have a problem,
they have enough. Listen, they have enough enemies.
We don't want
to be one of those enemies. They have enough people doing that. So we don't want to join the band.
The last thing I want to do, listen, I have a rule. I call it the 11th commandment. One Haitian never talks about another Haitian in front of other people.
Man, other people. You can say that again. You can say that again. Absolutely. And you know, Michael, here's what I said. I always say this.
But let me finish. I'm sorry. The second thing I want to say is, okay, good.
You said you wanted to say two things.
The second thing I want to say is, and I kind of briefly mentioned it before. So I don't want to attack anyone who's previously attempted. I hope everything works out for him and his family. The second thing I want to say is, I'm hoping now more of us will now try and now pool our resources together and do it in such a manner so that you cover yourself, that now you're licensed properly, that you comply with whatever rules, that you do it in a particular way. Like I said, I referenced another Haitian guy in Orlando who's doing it. He doesn't have a license, but he's doing it for our people. You know what I mean? A smart way where you see everything. So I'm hoping now with this situation that more Haitians come together and find ways to now invest and manage our people's money. And like I said, my goal is to see our people become like the Jews, if not better, where now we pool our money together and we grow. We come here, we put our money together, and we all become accredited investors. That's what I think.
I think that, Michael, I have to say this. I think there's always a silver lining on anything that happened, good or bad. And this is a situation that is regrettable. And I hope, and I pray and I hope that he gets out of that situation and be able to go back to his life. But I think also the situation provides us with opportunity to do kind of introspective look on how we do things, because you know that how Haitian, we do things kind of, okay, you're my friend, let's do it that way. You know, people don't lack the kind of the structured way of doing business. And I'm not knocking off Haitian, because I'm from a culture where everything is informal. You know, oh, no, it's my friend, oh, yeah, send me the money, no problem. Everything is informal. There is no formality and structure in the way that we do things. Now, for those of us who've been educated in the United States, myself, yourself, and a countless of other people who are watching this video, they know that in the United States of America, anywhere, you have to get things structured. You always have to watch out for yourself. So to that extent, I'm hoping that no matter what happened, somebody else would come up and say, hey, I have learned from what happened to our brother here. Let's use what happened to him as a learning, as an opportunity to learn, and then learn how to do this better, so we could still get the community involved. We could still get people to make money, but let's do it the right way. I mean, that's what I hope to come out.
And that's what I want to see as well. That's because, listen, I called my friend and I told him when the situation happened. He was the one who told me about the arrest and the situation like that. And I told him, I said, listen, I know this is a good guy. I know he's a nice guy. He's a member of my religious community, and he's one of us, our fellow Haitian. I said, but listen, and I didn't know any of the facts or the details. I wasn't an investor in the situation. But I told him, I said, listen, but I'm proud of you. And I told the same thing to my cousin, because my cousin had put money, several of my first cousins had put money in the situation. I found out about it late, so I didn't have the opportunity. But I said, listen, I'm proud of you guys. I told them, don't be discouraged. At least you see our Haitian people. We tried. We're trying. And I'm saying we still continue to try to do something. I don't want you discouraged, because I know what happens to other people. They get burnt, they lost, or they lose their money or whatever. Oh, no, that's it. That's just all. No, this was an attempt. I'm hoping everything works out, but I'm saying I want us to attempt even more, but this time even better. We can always improve, do it better, do it smarter, because even, listen, let me tell you, with us, even if you're doing it correctly, they can still say, we didn't like that you're not registered. So why give them that weapon?
Exactly.
Get registered.
But you know what? Listen, Michael, I think you are so right. And I think people would listen. You can't give them any opportunity to see any holes at all. Anything they can use, they will use it to bring you down. They will use it to slow you down. They will use it. So you really have to be extra careful. And you're not saying anything that is new. You and I know that we have to work twice as hard to get kind of the same respect that somebody don't even have to work hard to get. So that is the way we should approach things. And I think that the community understand that. A lot of people are upset about what happened. I can understand why they're upset about what happened. And my view is, let's wait and see instead of jumping the bandwagon. My job in this channel is to provide people with information, not to make a judgment call or to say this person is. Listen, there are enough people out there who are too busy bad-mouthing people. That's not our intention. Our intention really is to educate the community, to say, hey, here's what I know, here's what I can share with you. And I think, to me, that's important because I'm a learner. I'm always learning something. I've learned a lot from you today. And certainly, Michael, I want to thank you so much for joining the professor. And hopefully, in the near future, we could have a couple of guys so we could really talk about, you know, what we can do as a community. Because I think that finance is important. And we do have a lot of money in the community. It's just a way of
and let's pull it together and let's pull the money together. Let's do what we can do and let's become, again, now that we know the term accredited investor, I want to see every Haitian in our community our families become accredited investors.
Oh yeah, and there are opportunities out there. There are tons of opportunities. So let's hope that two things I'm hoping. One, I'm hoping that the brother is okay, everything works out fine for him. Second, I'm hoping no matter what happens, one way or the other, I'm hoping that the community will not be discouraged or will not be dissuaded or, will not just throw their hands up and hide. I think that there are good people who can come in and learn and continue that going, having learned what happened and preventing that from happening. So, Michael, thank you so much. I want to thank you so very much for to talk to me. And this is great. I think that our viewers are going to enjoy the information. And I do ask people, if you have comments, if you have questions, please make comments and ask questions. As always, I know there's always the naysayers, and just please be respectful in your comments. I've always tried to be respectful to people, just trying to present the fact without judging people. I'm not glad I can judge anybody. God knows I've made my own mistake too, so I'm not qualified to judge. I'm not that. All right, Michael, thank you so much. And I hope you would come back again because there's a lot more to talk about in terms of investment. So please do come back. And thank you so much for joining the professor. And if
no problem. Thank you so much.
Yes. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. You're not going to regret it. I have a lot more things to bring to you that are of interest to the community. So please subscribe to the channel, share the link with your friends and family so they can subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much.